Gab, three different players to address primarily. Let's start with Christian Eriksen. 18 million euros is being talked about for a move from Spurs to Inter. How likely is it to get done, and how much of a difference do you think he can make?
Well, every indication is that we're very, very close here. The parties have been talking for a while. From Tottenham's perspective, you're going to lose him as a free agent in 6 months' time. So you cash in now, get what you get. From Inter's perspective, they're looking, the guy's 27 years old. He's got a good, they think, 4, 5, 6 years left in him. And you're getting a guy who on his day can be one of the most influential central midfielders in Europe. So the big question is, how's Antonio Conte going to use him? I think we may see some sort of shift maybe in the way he plays, because if you look at that midfield, maybe there's no natural place for Eriksen unless you maybe play him in Brozovic's role. So I would expect them maybe to give a tweak to the formation, maybe even see him operate possibly as a second striker. If he maintains the back three, maybe spelling Lautaro in certain situations, maybe being an alternative to Saintsy. But obviously, you're investing big money in Eriksen, not so much in terms of fee, but in terms of wages. So you assume that he's going to be central to the project.
Guys, having seen what you've seen of Eriksen over the last few years in North London, can he make the difference? Can he be the player to push into over that line?
Well, one of the things, in talking to Alejandro Del Piero yesterday, and he was talking about how Juventus still remain the favorites, the things that he went back to is the depth and the strength of Juventus. Well, this addresses some of those issues for Inter, in the sense that you're not bringing Christian Eriksen for depth. You're bringing that guy to be a difference maker, an impactful player that he can help you this season. And then those guys that are behind Eriksen, they will provide that depth. Christian Eriksen is a guy that, and guy alluded to it, is he can make a team better on the day. It's not every day. And with Antonio Conte, what we also heard from Alejandro Del Piero is that you better bring it every day. And so the mindset for Eriksen this year, I think it was difficult for him to get past the idea of, look, I don't really want to be here at Spurs. It's not going to work out. We know I'm not going to be here. So he's already thinking about whatever the next move was going to be. Well, now the next move has happened. And so we have to see from him the performances that make him this player that everybody thinks, you know what, yeah, he's capable of making that big of a difference and that big of a change for a team. We have to see that on a more consistent basis than what we have over the last year or so.
Listen, but at 18 million, that's a gamble you take all day, every single day. Yeah, without question. It seems like not so long ago we were talking about this same Christian Eriksen and whether he'd be the heir apparent to Luka Modric. He was that good. And understandably, there are some question marks over the last year where his performances have been a little bit inconsistent, but given his contract situation, given Spurs' own struggles, you understand that. You get the opportunity to secure his services, especially with this Inter team, who have a lot of talent going forward, and we've spoken about for quite some time, but at times have played more as a counter-attacking team. Now with that creativity in midfield, maybe it allows Antonio Conte to deliver on a promise that he keeps mentioning, that they are not not just a counter-attacking team. I think it's very good business indeed.
It's actually, in my opinion anyways, it's a statement of intent for Inter. Saying, you know what? We're sending a message to everybody. We are saying we are in this race for the long haul. And we very much believe that we can compete against Juventus. And we're telling our fans, we're telling the rest of the players in that locker room, we're sending a message across the organization, look, this is what we want to be. And if this is what we need to do, we're going to take the step, we're going to be aggressive, we're going to be proactive, and we're going to make sure that we're a major player. In order to be a major player, you make major moves. And this is exactly what this means for Inter.
But Gab, not just content with Christian Eriksen, it appears that Ashley Young might be on his way too. What do you make of that?
You're right. It's not just the Christian the devil warned you about. It's Ashley Young too. Now they've been talking to Young for a while. His contract is also winding down. You can get him for cheap. Conte, we know, likes his veterans. I think they're kind of playing two decks here because they're also looking there was a lot of talk in the last 48 hours of a Mattia Politano for Leo Spinazzola swap with Roma. Spinazzola, of course, much more of a genuine wing back, also younger, very talented player, but a guy who's had injury problems. That seems to have stalled. From what I understand, one is the alternative to the other. So it's either going to be Ashley Young. I guess Conte likes his experience and his versatility. I don't know. Wouldn't have been my choice. But also, but the other option, of course, is Spinazzola. I don't think that deal is dead just yet.
Gab, and still yet another player, Olivier Giroud, appears to be on his way to join up with Antonio Conte. What do you make of this? How much would this help Inter if they do in fact get Giroud?
I think it would help tremendously because, look, if you're going to play two center forwards, the way they've been doing with Giroud and Lautaro, you basically need, at least four available to you in the team. And the reality is, thus far for most of the season, because of Alexis Sanchez's injury, they've just had the two, Lautaro and Lukaku, and they've had to effectively play every game. We know that he wanted another big striker. He likes the idea in some situations of playing two front men. That's why he worked so hard. They tried to go after Dzeko in the summer. And Giroud, in that sense, makes sense. He's not going to be lacking for motivation, tons of experience. I think he's going to be a little bit more expensive. But as Ali said, this is more than a statement of intent from Inter. This is them just taking all their chips and pushing them to the center of the table. Because you're right, we're not talking big transfer fees, but we are talking big contracts here.
So, theoretical question for you two involving money, which I know you like. If all three...
And don't have.
If all that... Well, you can use Alessandro Del Piano's on it from yesterday.
It's tied up in the restaurant.
If all three of these get done, Eriksen, Ashley Young, Olivier Giroud, are all Inter players for the second half of this season, are you putting money on them to win the Scudetto over Juventus? 11-5 is what you're getting offered right now.
At 11-5, I'll put all of Ali's money on Inter Milan.
Appreciate that.
To win. Listen, the truth is, even with these acquisitions, it's still Juventus are favourites, and understandably so, given who they have, given their experience, and just given who they are as a football club. But with Inter, within touching distance, you have to fancy chances, and Inter are doing all the things that they need to do to maybe eclipse Juventus.
And this is as close as an opportunity as we have had for somebody overtaking Juventus. And mind you, there have been moments in which Napoli was right there or thereabouts, but it didn't really feel like Napoli was going to overtake Juventus.
Right.
This is a moment in which you have looked at a Juventus team over the course of the season that even though they've won games and even though they found ways and they've only lost one single game this whole year, it still feels like they're vulnerable. Like they are there to be challenged. And so Inter is taking those steps to challenge Juventus. And so it's now up to Juventus to answer the call and say, look, Inter, you can do whatever you want. But we're still who we are. We're still 2 points ahead. And we're gonna continue to win and continue to put pressure on you and see if you can keep up. I think it's a step forward by Inter. But in the end, until you can prove you can overtake Juventus, you still have to like the champions.
Gab, what's your intuition telling you? If all of these moves go through, can Inter finally end this run of Juventus?
I mean, I think out of those moves, two of those are obviously going to be depth moved. Eriksen's the potential game changer. I've been leaning Inter for a while, even after the Juve win. I think Juve have other priorities. And I think that the Demiral injury is a very serious one for them. So I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to lean Inter here.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN+.